You can tell when somebody just owns Lego and they're not really like a Lego collector. For example, my brother-in-law, he was moving and he's like, hey man, got these Lego sets. They were really fun to put together, but I no longer have space for them. And this is how he gave us the bag. Hey, but it looks like there's some great sets in there. Like, look at that set. Unreal. What is that? I have no idea. But there's some sort of motorcycle that we don't have. And also the Porsche 911 RSR. The other day when we finished building our Death Star, I did like a overview of all 3 Death Stars and sort of compared them. And then I placed the 2025 Death Star on the bottom of this pack shelf. And I demonstrated how this can actually fit on the billy shelves. I put it right there. I'm not really too happy with the home of it right there. I think we need to relocate it and just sort of tinker with these displays a bit. So we're gonna do that today in this video as well. We also recently built this awesome boat display. I love it. This used to just be like a hoard of boxes. But now that hoard of boxes is right there, and that's where our like backlog used to be. And I can't just have the backlog chilling right here. So we need to try and find a new home for all of this stuff. So we used to have the boats on this shelf here above the parts because the boats were all super tall, and this is where we have a bunch of tall epic sets. But now we have all this space open for the taking. Maybe what I should do is just put the 3 Death Stars there. But then we'd be removing the Death Stars from the Lego Star Wars room. So I'm not really a huge fan of that, but it would be cool to have the Death Stars up here because we're always working up here. Like this is where we spend the majority of our time. And it would be pretty neat just looking at those all the time. And I was just backing into the Death Star box. Blasted thing. Sorry, I don't keep my boxes. We're gonna recycle that. Look at the side of the box though. We have a beautiful picture of a spherical Death Star. That's what we should have gotten. You know what would have relieved the tension a little bit? Is if they didn't classify this set as an Ultimate Collector's Series set. If they classified it as an MBS set or a Master Builder Series set, it would have went over a lot better because that's what this is. This is a Master Builder Series set, but it just seems like they're not continuing that theme. Maybe if they didn't deck out the packaging as much as they did, it would have been a little bit cheaper as well. I know that's gonna get made for sure, and I'm sorry everybody, I just literally don't have space to keep all the boxes. It just becomes hoarding at that point. I made that decision a long time ago, and I threw away like all the awesome boxes such as the Millennium Falcon, the Star Destroyer, the Razor Crest, the AT-AT Walker, pretty much all the boxes, even like Town Hall and the detective's office and all those awesome boxes. I got rid of them all. I just don't have space to hoard these boxes. Speaking of space, it looks like we can alleviate some space by just cleaning up this shelf here. There's a bunch of stuff that doesn't really get used. We've got like our Christmas tree down there, which actually will be put up relatively soon, I guess. Also, like all these old containers, we've got some IKEA boxes that we never really ended up using, a bunch of mini builds and all that that just need to be placed in the Lego City or in the Winter Village. And like a bunch of train track and stuff. I think all of this stuff can be stowed away in larger boxes and put underneath the Lego City, and then we can use this shelf for our backlog. That just makes sense. Speaking of hoarding, here's another little bit of light recycling that we need to take care of today. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of cardboard. Also, I've had this stuff like sitting here forever. What's in there? I don't know. Containers that probably should just get thrown away or used somewhere. Also a bunch of BrickHead instructions. A nice looking bowl. And what else? Oh, what do you know? A giant bin of brick separators plus an old school computer monitor that I got when I graduated high school back in 2009. So yeah, this thing is ancient, not even HDMI. Probably gonna get rid of that too. All right. Essentially this entire shelf is now open for the taking. All of the IKEA boxes fit in that large bin right there. Then all of the old plastic containers that we used to use for our parts that we no longer use because we 3D printed better ones are in this one here. I don't know if I'm going to give these away, sell them in bundles, because they're still very useful and they fit very well in the Sterilite drawers. But the 3D printed ones just fit even better. But they still have value somewhere, but we don't need this many of them. We kept some upstairs for, you know, doing sorts and stuff like that, but we don't need this many of them. So I'm not going to throw them away. We're going to find a new home for them somewhere. Someone else's collection, I guess. Now this bin right here is train track. So we have them all sorted in here, straights, curves, switches, etc. They used to be in these white boxes and they're still in these white boxes, but now we've grouped them all together in this black bin. And all this stuff here is going to go underneath the Lego City just because we don't need to access it all the time. All right, we officially have one of our build tables back. Because our sets to be built or just to be dealt with, like reviewed, etc., are now on this shelf. That is a lot better. So I got all those bins put underneath the Lego City tables here. Not ideal, but better than out in the open. Eventually all those IKEA boxes we're going to use in the medieval area, I believe, and then a lot of this other stuff we're just going to try and part with over time. I think these big bins here can just go to the garage because we need some more storage bins for our garage. Eventually I'd like to, you know, work on the subway, get the backdrop built for the subway, so that's going to hide a lot of this, and then in the very end, maybe we can put a curtain along the bottom, but we just access these areas so frequently, there's no point in putting a curtain there right now. And eventually we'd like to put curtains around the access points as well. And then I've mentioned it time and time again, but I haven't gotten around to doing it yet. When we relocate the deep sea area, either in one section or all the way along the front of this area over here, wherever there isn't a deep sea area, we're going to put curtains as well just to hide the wood legs and just to clean up the overall appearance of the Lego City. Okay, I think it's about time we start working on this Lego Star Wars display change. So I know I want to get that big Death Star, that being the 2025 one, up off the ground. So I'm going to remove Jabba's sail barge and also the Razor Crest. And surprisingly enough, the 2025 Death Star actually fits where that shelf was. I just had to remove one of the shelves, so that's just perfect. Now I also want to put all the Death Stars together. So I'm going to relocate the 2008 Death Star. And I put it on the bottom shelf and it just looks too small. So I decided that I'm going to put it up with the 2005 one. And I'm going to remove the 2005 Death Star box from the display. There's just no need to display boxes no matter how cool they are. Once that's all taken care of, I install another shelf sort of at the midway point underneath the 2025 Death Star. And of course, that's going to give us a new home for the Jabba's sail barge. Going to remove the Sarlacc pit there just because it seems to be clouding the shelf a little bit, overcrowding it, I think. And then also put the Razor Crest on the very bottom. And it actually presents very well. Next up, just got to regroup my X-Wings together on the other shelves there. And there you go. I think this display looks a lot better. A subtle change, but definitely worth it. Yeah, I definitely think that makes a lot more sense. Now this set is more presentable. I don't know if you're watching this on your phone, but if you're watching it on your phone, it's really hard to see all the details of the 2025 Death Star. Here in person, it's cool. You can sort of see all of the exposed details of this Master Builder Series set. That's what we'll call it. This might be a bit crowded up there, but I don't mind having those two Death Stars together. I think when we had the 2008 Death Star on the bottom, it looked just like so small, and there actually wasn't enough space to add another shelf there based on the height of that set. So the additional shelf became like really short. And I didn't really want to mess around with the spacing of all the shelves. And I didn't want to remove the sail barge and also the Razor Crest from this shelf here because that's like the primary shelf and I just think they display so well. I would consider these to be the secondary shelves over here because you don't see them right when you walk into the room, and there's still lots of room open for the taking on those particular shelves there as well, so that's good. But I'm happy I was able to get the 2025 Death Star up off the ground. I think it looks a lot better there, and we grouped together the Death Stars, so that makes me pretty happy. This does fit on a Billy bookcase, but I think it's better on the wardrobe unit with a lot of the other large sets if we ever run out of space, because they're overproducing large sets that require a lot of depth, then we can move it on to a Billy bookcase. But there you go. I think the Lego Star Wars room is looking pretty good. It always feels good to just make some changes in here and of course make some great additions to the shelving, such as the new Death Star. Awesome. Okay, got the bag from my brother-in-law unpacked here, and within we've got a pretty cool BMW M1000RR Technic motorcycle. It was hanging out by a windowsill. It's yellowing, but look at that. That yellow construction thing there, or Technic thing, was actually a stand, and that's where we got the specifications plaque. And there's another stand as well, along with a couple sticker elements that I think can be swapped out. Pretty neat looking set. There's also the Porsche 911 RSR. Pretty dusty. Gonna get it all cleaned up here. I already did some repairs on all of these sets, but this one's pretty yellowed out as well. There we go though, nice little Porsche 911 RSR. And then there is a Fender guitar with no amp and no red alternate build, along with a bunch of additional pieces and some of this like cabling, which is pretty cool. I don't know where he would have got that from, or maybe it's just extra parts from this side or something. I don't know. What am I going to do with these? This one's going to stay in our collection. We're going to display it on the Technic shelf over there, and these other two at some point I'll just give them away. Sort of like re-gift them. There you go. That motorcycle actually fills that gap quite nicely there on the top of the Technic shelf between the F1 cars and the brick separator shadow box. Perfect. You might have saw a little lightsaber up there too. That's actually from the Death Star. So they come with a lot of like extra weapons and stuff, but when your minifigures are posed, you don't really need all the weapons. So to keep it with the set, bam, I just put them in a little bag inside the Princess Leia holding cell. It's crazy to think how much like stuff or waste or recycle, for the most part, a small little YouTube channel like ours can generate. Like, it is just ridiculous. There's another carload. Hey, but with all that gone, we can see the carpet back here again. It makes me happy. Eventually, I'm gonna have to haul these back to the garage as well. They've been here for a long time, but they've come in handy quite a few times. And when I'm done like all the woodwork and stuff, and I get rid of the saws, then I need to go through and get rid of all the scrap melamine as well, just because there's so much of it. There's so much spare wood under here. It would be nice to clean all that up. It's just an eyesore. Got to get rid of all that. But there's no point in moving all that stuff out of here or getting rid of it until we're done our final wood construction, just because that would just be wasteful. It'd be a waste of resources to throw all that away or get rid of it or give it away or whatever it may be, and then have to go buy more when we start our next project, like a raised platform in the city, or a wood structure for a mountain, or a wood structure for the island, or even the medieval area, which once again we could use the IKEA boxes to create elevation. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about the most important part of the day, brewing a fresh coffee. Ah, there we go. That's a lot better. I feel like we can officially start our workday now after getting all that done. It just feels good going around and organizing things, getting everything situated, you know, moving Death Stars around and improving displays, cleaning things up, loading the car full of junk to get it out of here. Just clean up, you know, get ready for the week, because the day that I'm filming this is actually Monday. So we're just getting ready for the week here. We're working on some exciting projects, got some exciting Lego sets being reviewed and revealed, and also working on a lot of Lego City related stuff. But the last 3 days or 4 days has been like dedicated to building and reviewing and placing the Death Star. So we're over that hump and we're moving on. I'm gonna join Mrs. Bricksie on this project that we're working on right now. Thank you so much for coming on by. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Farewell.